Shows us how to score every time in Madden 2001. And we put the spotlight on massively multiplayer worlds. And we return to a galaxy far, far away in our review of Battle for Naboo. Stick around, it's game time.
Hello and welcome to our show from Metreon in San Francisco. I'm Adam Sessler.
And I'm Kate Botello. Now, online gaming is here to stay, and the multiplayer component has become an essential piece of almost every PC game release, for good or ill.
Now we're seeing it more and more on consoles, so between the two of them, it's becoming massive.
Feeling lonely in your single-player conquests? Computer AI just not cutting it?
I heard you had a hard time.
Well, there are persistent worlds out there chock full of other real players only an internet connection away. Massively multiplayer online games have exploded over recent years, and gameplay worlds have evolved from the 2D realms of Ultima Online to 3D enhanced games like Asheron's Call, EverQuest, and the upcoming Ultima Third Dawn. In these games, players create a unique customizable character and explore a persistent universe. When you log out, your character lives on. Ultima Online gives players a number of ways to live. This ever-expanding world was introduced in 1997. Players can either gain points by battling in warring parties, or develop saleable items by becoming craftspeople. These fantasy world games are not without their real-world problems. Some players try to take advantage of others.
The standard classic problem is player killing, but it's not just player killing. It's taking a newbie out to the dragon's den so the newbie gets killed by the dragon. Or it's saying you're going to fix something and taking it from him and running away and logging off. Or like there's so many different ways that you can screw up someone else's gameplay experience.
Origin has hired game masters to deal with problems that arise during game sessions.
When we have so much interaction of a game like this, a lot of times there's going to be a lot of conflict with different ideologies and different play styles. So it will have a lot of racial harassment and other kinds of harassment in game.
Apparently, it's hard to escape real life. Another real-life problem that can be evident in these games is boredom.
What often happens in online games is people don't put real storylines in it, in which case players often wander around the world and go, oh, well, what's my purpose in life other than to fight more monsters and collect more treasure?
There's what we call the Bible, which is this script for the first year. It's an outline that says, this major character appears, he tries to take over the world, this other character comes in, and the players, and these are regular events that happen in the game that the players participate in. So yes, trying to include a very clear storyline that the players can participate in.
The latest incursion into the Ultima universe, Third Dawn, will rise in the spring. Thousands of players will be able to explore Third Dawn's persistent world simultaneously while enjoying its motion capture animated characters and 3D environments. Another massively multiplayer universe can be found in Asheron's Call. In this world, all playable characters are human, and there are plenty of dangers to avoid. Monthly world-changing events occur whether you're playing or not, so every time you log in, you may find unexpected changes. EverQuest is Variant's 3D online role-playing game. Launched in 1999, it continues to be extremely popular. The game is so popular that Variant has released expansion packs for players to explore. So, besides Ultima Third Dawn, what does the future hold for massively multiplayer online gaming? When it's released, Neverwinter Nights should be the closest thing to a multiplayer Dungeons & Dragons session online. The game will be the first to carry the 3rd edition D&D rule set.
I cast a spell! Where's the Mountain Dew?
Like Dungeon Masters, server hosts will be able to set many different attributes and rules for their sessions, including whether or not death is permanent in the game. You can also expect next-gen consoles to provide massively multiplayer games online. The first of these games is Phantasy Star Online for the Dreamcast. The new title will be truly international, thanks to the multi-language interpreter, which allows you to understand different languages in real time. Fantasy worlds are making the real world smaller every day. It's impressive to see how far multiplayer games have come in the past 4 years. Just think what the next 4 years will bring.
I'm attacking the darkness!
So, if anybody's come up with a catchy way to pronounce MMORPG, just let us know.
More pig.
More page.
More news.
The sequel to Valve Software's benchmark shooter, Half-Life 2, has been confirmed for an Xbox release. A multi-platform release of the game is expected as well. Konami will publish the game based on the movie The Thing in the first quarter of 2002 on all major platforms. Coding will be taken care of by Evolva developer Computer Artworks. According to the company, gameplay will feature a mix of survival, horror, action, and science fiction. Sony has announced that the highly anticipated release of Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec has been delayed again. The Japanese release date has now been changed from February 15th to sometime in April, and European and US release dates will also move accordingly. In a study of 3rd and 4th graders, new research suggests that limiting time spent watching TV and playing video games may prevent violent behavior. Researchers got children to cut their TV and gaming time by 1/3 and found the monitored children to be less aggressive than the control group.
Coming up on GameSpot TV, we return to the Star Wars universe in our review of Battle for Naboo. And we take tea with the Mad Hatter in Alice.
Welcome back to our show from Metreon in San Francisco.
Well, we've had a chance to look at all of the games based on Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and I think we can comfortably say that the quality has been varied at best.
Well, why don't we see what happens when the citizenry rises up against the Trade Federation and has a battle for Naboo?
This is Panaka. We're under attack. We need assistance.
Using an enhanced version of the Rogue Squadron engine, Battle for Naboo gives you a taste of life as a typical Naboo security officer, caught in the middle of the Trade Federation's assault on the planet.
My family get me in that camp. I'm going in.
Battle for Naboo's visuals take full advantage of the RAM expansion pack. The horizon stretches for ages over the countryside. Gunships glide over deep blue waters.
I copy.
Factor 5's specialty is sound, and it shines here.
I've lost my droid.
Sound effects are crystal clear and straight from the film. Blaster bolts whine, droid fighters howl, and the score rumbles powerfully in the background. The controls in the game are simple, with steering on the analog stick and buttons for other maneuvers. You can test your piloting skills with the many different ships in your squadron. New ships open up as you progress. Battle for Naboo is not without shortcomings. Mission goals tend to be more about guarding the action than being in the middle of it.
Protect the convoy as it retreats.
Still, screaming through space in a swarm of droids is an immersive adrenaline rush.
There's too many of them.
And makes you feel like a full citizen of the Phantom Menace universe. Overall, we give Battle for Naboo a 4 out of 5.
We're trapped.
When you look at the clean and impressive graphics that Factor 5 was able to achieve on Battle for Naboo for the N64, it almost makes you shudder to think of what they might pull off on the GameCube. Now, speaking of graphics, many people have been eagerly anticipating American McGee's Alice, and there's no question this is one of the most impressive-looking games I have ever seen. Unfortunately, graphics are not all that a game is about.
Save us, Alice.
American McGee's Alice takes the already demented world of Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass and dements it further. The result is a game that is both stunning in its graphical prowess and art design. McGee's rendering of the story is significantly darker and very hallucinogenic. Character designs and animations are wonderfully expressive. And early in the game, you'll catch yourself proclaiming out loud how cool it looks. Complementing the visuals is the sound.
Please don't dawdle, Alice. We're very late indeed.
The voice acting is top-notch and adds both twisted humor and menace to the experience.
You've gone quite mangy, Cat, but your grin's a comfort.
And you've picked up a bit of an attitude.
Unfortunately, that begins to give way to the experience of actually playing the game. Most of the problems are in the controls. It becomes very apparent early on that Alice doesn't respond in a very timely nor accurate manner to your commands, making the numerous jumps and other time-sensitive actions unnecessarily aggravating. Also, there is the combat, which takes up a large portion of the game's action. It's best described as sluggish and unsatisfying. Long-range weapons take a while to recharge, and in the meantime, you have to use the poor controls to dodge your enemy's attacks. So Alice ends up being a game that's wonderful to look at, but not terribly thrilling to play. It's not unplayable by any means, and Patience rewards you with great visuals. But gamers with a limited budget can find far more well-rounded games. Overall, we give American McGee's Alice a 3 out of 5.
You've taken your sweet time.
Well, unfortunately, Alice fell a little bit too far down the rabbit hole. Now, in our opinion, puzzle games just don't get enough respect. And back in the early days of Microsoft Windows, a lot of people spent many monotonous hours playing solitaire. Thankfully, though, Microsoft has broken that up a bit with their own collection of classic board games, perfect for a rainy day.
Microsoft's classic board games includes 12 games that your mother would recommend. Among them are chess, dominoes, and Go. Visually, you'll find 2D representations of the game's counterparts. The graphics do the job with an easy-to-use interface. Music consists of the same 14 songs for each game. And the sound effects are a bare minimum. The game is controlled with your mouse. One great feature is during most games you have the option to view legal moves. Because the game offers easy-to-understand rules, techniques, and strategies in its help menu, Classic Board Games is a fantastic learning tool for games which you may not be familiar with. We give it a 2 out of 5.
One of the best things about playing board games against your computer is that when you win, it doesn't whine. The Smuggler's Run involves you attempting to outrun the authorities, and with this following cheat, you're given one of the best ways to cross the border undetected.
If you're down with the underground lifestyle of Smuggler's Run on the PS2, then you won't mind some cheats to add some funkiness to your mission. To enter any cheats, first pause the game. To gain invisibility, press R1, L1, L1, R2, L1, L1, L2. And to grab more air, press L1, R1, R1, L2, R2, R2. Coming up on GameSpot TV, Capcom's Mega Blue Man has a new game out, and we wonder, what's up with the floating heads? And we get to drive in our preview of 18-Wheeler.
Welcome back to our show from Metreon in San Francisco.
The Mega Man X series was released way back in the glory days of the Super Nintendo system.
Now, the fundamental gameplay was that of your basic Mega Man, except with more collecting and power-ups.
Now, nearly a decade later, Mega Man 5X has been released for the PlayStation.
If there was ever a perfect mascot for Capcom, this little blue bomber is the guy. Yep, Mega Man's back, and he's back to his old-school side-scrolling self with Mega Man X5. Like all Mega Man X's before this, you'll have to stop Sigma's nefarious plans of global domination. Besides Mega Man X, you can also play as Zero, the saber-wielding Reploid with long hair. Each character has different skills and attributes, and it's up to you to decide who's more suited to each stage. A surprise addition to the Mega Man gameplay is the new crouching ability. It's an unusual feature considering that Mega Man has never been a crouching tiger in the 15 years he's been around. While the graphics technology of X5 seems dated, the visuals are still fine 2D work. The game does sport excellent anime character designs, and there's a high count of on-screen sprites. On the downside, Mega Man X5 suffers from poor sound. The music is an uninspiring myriad of synth rock that lacks the catchy edge of past Mega Man games. X5 might not be the best Mega Man game ever, but it's certainly a welcome addition to the franchise. GameSpot TV gives Mega Man X5 a 3 out of 5.
With Street Fighter and the Mega Man series, Capcom has perfected the art of releasing multiple iterations of basic game concepts. Now, with all the driving games out there, you'd think we'd seen every piece of automotive equipment, from Porsches to ice cream trucks to rickshaws. Well, we'd never seen anything with an 18-wheeler until now.
Breaker one now. This is Texas Hawk. Anybody out there copy?
18-wheeler. 18-wheeler, American Pro Trucker, is an arcade game that puts you behind the big wheel, and then you race across the states. The Dreamcast port will give you the chance to haul stuff from the comfort of your own couch. So grab a six-pack of Jolt Cola, your potty mouth, and a wooden ball seat cover, because it's time to get trucking. The premise of the game is pretty straightforward. You're a newbie trucker who must prove himself or herself by hauling cargo along various routes.
Your destination for this job is Key West.
Your main objective is to beat the clock and your rival, a competing trucker who drives a fast and evil-looking rig. And he's a big jerk, too.
You slow.
The game includes slipstreams, where you get behind other trucks in order to go faster, and occasional cars, which give you time bonuses if you strike them. Between stages, you get to maneuver through a series of turns and park your truck in specified areas, all within a time limit. Doing so earns you new items which power up your truck, including a spiffy new horn.
You got the horn!
The stereotypical trucker soundtrack of twanging country and hard rock might get on your last nerve, but luckily, the game features crisp sound effects and voice work which provide plenty of guffaws.
There's a traffic jam, and it's all your fault!
For fans of the arcade game or fans of big rigs, 18-wheeler is scheduled for a U.S. release in March. Coming up on GameSpot TV, Terry Jackson of the San Francisco 49ers gives us his tips for Madden 2001. And we use our typing skills to ward off the undead.
Welcome back to our show here at Metreon in San Francisco.
House of the Dead 2 is a really difficult game and not one that you would normally consider conducive to educational purposes.
But the folks over at Sega have yet again let their bizarre creative juices overflow and have found a way to mix learning and the undead. Most people don't have fond memories of their typing class. Can't really say that it was graphically intensive, nor did it get your pulse pounding. But that's a little bit different when you play Typing of the Dead from Sega. It takes House of the Dead 2, and instead of giving you a light gun, you have a keyboard. Certain phrases appear on the screen, and if you type them in fast enough and correctly, you will kill the zombies that are coming after you.
Now, this may seem like a pretty kooky idea for a game, and of course it is, but it's proved quite popular in the arcade. So popular, in fact, that now it's out for your Dreamcast. Now, using the keyboard peripheral, you can type phrases like bleed to death and wallowing in melancholy in the privacy of your own living room. If you don't know how to type, well, that's okay. The Dreamcast version gives you an added bonus.
Hi, my name is James. I'm an AMS agent. You're about to start some serious training. If you want to be able to live to take your pension, start training. This is what happens if you can't...
So if your parents won't buy you House of the Dead because it's too violent, Typing of the Dead might be the way to go. Not only is it tons of fun, it's sure to help you get high marks in typing class.
This is called the home position.
So, how can Adam kill all those zombies when he only types with 2 fingers? Now, Fantavision was the sole contribution that Sony made to the PS2 launch. Well, except, of course, the PS2. Here's the intro.
There's nothing like new technology going retro. Now, Madden 2001 for the PlayStation 2 is a heightened simulation, and as a result can be a rather difficult game for some players. So what better way to get advice than to go to an actual NFL player who won the Madden Championship?
It doesn't get better than NFL football. But what do you do after the big bowl is over? You bust out Madden 2001 for the PS2. That's what. But if you're having trouble making it to the end zone, don't sweat it. We got some coaching from a pro.
Well, here we are at the San Francisco 49ers training facility, and with me right now is Terry Jackson, who plays for the San Francisco 49ers, and also happens to be the champion of the 2000 Madden Bowl that occurred back in January of this year. So what are the three most important things for any Madden player to be thinking about to ensure that they're going to have a good chance of winning when playing Madden football?
Basically, buying a good defense. That's your number one thing.
Style.
If you can shut somebody down, and it's going to set you up to, be victorious in these games.
They're blitzing. Davis gets the call.
Well, I think you got to have the mindset that you're going to be victorious. And, when a lot of guys play, you talk to your players. You talk to yourself, you're psyching everything up. Okay, you also want to look for mismatches. Look for your best mismatches, spread guys out, do a lot of different things.
Over to the left. And he's got his man.
If a team has a linebacker guarding a receiver, then you take advantage of that and you go for that position. You have like fast running backs or something like that. You got to use that person, the best player on your team, to make the best plays. You got to use the Jacksonville Jaguars and actually use the buddy of mine to kill everybody, Fred Taylor. He's one of the fastest running backs in the game, so I used him to just totally dominate, and I gave it to him pretty much every play, and I couldn't get stopped. If you have a play that nobody can stop, keep going with it. When I play with the 49ers, I definitely give it to myself every time.
What happens though if you get a little bit too predictable? If you always are tossing to
then you're gonna get beat. If you know what somebody's gonna do, it makes it very easy as a defensive player to stop that person. And you can do hot routes. And this is very key to the game. This was very key to my success. When they have the plays, they have regular routes. You press the top button here, the triangle, I look at the receiver I want to, and I can change his route while I'm at the line. Finally go for it. You got to take chances on offense and defense. Don't be afraid to try new things.
Let's see that one again.
Have fun with the game. Just go for it and you'll be successful.
If you didn't get your fill of Terry Jackson, then you can check out the full interview at our website.
Or if you have a strategy of your own, come share it with us, post it on our message boards.
And don't forget about our chats on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern.
We'd like to thank Metreon for hosting us today. That about does it for this edition of the show.
It does.
Until next time,
Game over.